just remind you that the aim of the online events is that we share, that we network, that we learn, and that we enjoy ourselves. And part of that is being able to contribute. So Anna's going to be talking to start with, but it's largely a question and answer session. So do please feel free to ask questions. If you want to stick up your hand, then do, or put the questions in the chat and we'll pick them up. We have several events coming up. An experimental event on the 6th of February is a menopause cafe. We ran an event on the menopause something over a year ago, and there was a lot of interest in that. And the purpose of the menopause cafe is basically just a drop-in session where you can chat about whatever you want, and it is aimed particularly at people who will be, are, or maybe have been going through the menopause. But do please consider, if you can make the time, dropping into that if it's something that is of interest to you to share with other people. On the 22nd of February, we have, that's a picture of a young Kathy Kotiadis, who's now a professor of operational research, but had a very long and difficult career break. And I see there's a mistake in the title, but she'll be talking about how she came through that with the help of the foundation, whose name has skipped my mind at the moment, but it's all in the details online. And that is at 1 o'clock. And then we will be having a workshop on presence and personal impact on the 18th of April at 1:30. And we're hoping to have a March event, but that hasn't yet been confirmed. So there's several dates for your diary there in the meantime. Oops, that's going to be the closing slide, so I don't need to say that at this stage. I'm just going to come out of that and sorry, stop sharing. Thank you. And I'm going to invite Anna now. So if you're here, you have seen the little description of Anna in the booking. And Anna is also going to talk in more detail about her journey. But so I'm not going to say any more about Anna personally, except to say that I first met her doing a webinar when she was giving a webinar for the Euro Practitioners Network, Practitioners Forum, and I was gripped by the story. That webinar was much more about the techniques and technology and the methodologies that they were using. So you can always go and look at that afterwards if you wish. But in the meantime, if I may, Anna, hand over to you and welcome you to do your opening words, opening introduction, describing you and your company.
Okay, thank you. First, thank you to everyone and for the opportunity to be here and to just share with you my personal journey and very intimate journey that most of the people don't know when we talk about the Wide Scope, which is my company, and the stories that I talk about more professional. So this is more personal journey. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to, this is the Wide Scope is the company that me and my colleague Philip found. Okay, let me now start it. So wait, I just need to move this. Okay, can you see my screen? You can see my screen? Yes? Okay, good. Okay, so let me start to say that just for you to have an idea of what I am today and what I did to come here, okay? So in 1995 to 1994, I just did a degree in statistics and operational research. And then after that, I thought, okay, let's do the master degree. I thought I didn't have enough knowledge or experience to go to the market, and I decided to do afterwards the master degree. So I finished in 2002. And during that time, I had the opportunity to work in an European project, which was called LISCUS, related with the supply chain. And I just put this here because this was very important for me and for my colleague Philip, because we have the contact with a lot of companies in other countries and not in Portugal that were using the techniques and the knowledge of OR that we didn't have in Portugal. So at that time in 2000, in the beginnings of 2000, Portugal was very like small vision. And most of our friends and colleagues go to work, but they are not going to do anything related with what we were studying at that time. So it was like frustrating to say, okay, I'm investing all these years, like 4-6 years, and in the end, I'm going to work for a bank or something that has nothing to do what we are learning here, that is very interesting, and we could do a lot of more in these fields, but we don't have the opportunity. So while we were doing this master degree, we decided, okay, wait, outside, there are a lot of companies that in fact use this knowledge. So why not doing the same here? And in Portugal, it was very, there were like, I don't know, 1 or 2 companies that would have that, but mostly related with universities, not a real company. So at that time, me and my colleague Philippe, that at that time was my boyfriend from the 2nd year of the university, we decided, okay, let's try to do and create a company. And okay, now let's move. This is me. I just put here a picture just for you to really understand what I'm going to talk about now. So in 2003, we say, okay, let's found our own company. And the idea was to say, okay, we have all this knowledge that outside, there is a world outside than Portugal, that people work in EOR in companies and they do business and they solve real problems and not only our theoretic problems that we saw on the university, especially because our university was very, it still is very close, very theoretical, very far away from the companies and the real world. They are trying to change that. For instance, nowadays we are always invited every year to speak about our experience with the master degree students. So they are trying to push the companies to go there. So every year we are invited to go there. So we keep a little relationship with them. But nevertheless, it's still very, very narrow to the problems that in reality they don't exist. And in reality, they are much more harder or more complex than what they are in theory. But anyway, at that time we thought, okay, let's try to make a company and do our own dreams. So we have a very big dream to do something. But we were just us. So it was just me and Philip with any contact whatsoever. So we didn't have any business contact. We didn't have a company that could help us. We didn't have financial investments. We didn't have anything, okay? And of course, we didn't have any kind of experience on having a job because this is my first job. It still is my first job. So at the moment, we thought, oh my God, this will be good. But in the very young appearance, this was also a problem because when we go to the first contacts, so we didn't have anything, okay? So we were just trying to imagine 20 years ago, just to get a couple, okay, this is important because when we go to the meetings, we thought, okay, this is not working very well because people look at us and even if we behave normally, of course, they always look at us, oh, maybe this is a couple, and that was not very good, okay? It's funny because even today, in my presentation, my name, it's my single name. So I have another name, which is my married name. But at the moment, of course, we didn't were married at that time, but even today, I still have that difference. So for the business, I have a name. For the family and friends, I have another name and another email, which is also a little bit complex. To now, of course, it's normal and people know me as that name. But nevertheless, even with 2 names, when they saw 2 young people knocking at the door and say, oh, look, we want to do this and we know we have experience, we know the knowledge and so on. At the beginning, it was very difficult for us just being a couple. So what we did during the way was, okay, one of us has to go to the meeting, okay? And I was very young, as you can see here. So people didn't take me too much serious. So at that time, it was Philip that was going to the meetings and I was on the background, okay? Because of this young appearance that people didn't look too much attention to us. Of course, in the beginning, we didn't have anything, so it really was hard to try to prove that we were have some value on what we were proposing to do. But during that way, what we did was, and what we had was a very big self-discipline. So even we didn't have anything, we just have a blank page on our company and our products, we didn't have anything. We have a very good will to say we can do this. If other countries and other working on this, why cannot we do? So we need to have very big self-discipline to work at 9 to 6, to be there at 9 to 6, because we were at one of our own house. So we didn't have money to have a space, an office. But at 9, we were there, at 6, we were leaving. Of course, during the night we was working, but at least from 9 to 6, we worked together like a normal office, but it was our home. Okay, it's funny that with the virus, we still are working at home now. So I think it's like a deja vu, because we are already working at home. But anyway, on that time, it was really, really different, okay? So during that time, okay, we didn't have holidays, we didn't have weekends, we didn't have anything. It was just work, 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 okay? And now I'm going to tell you our areas. So we started in the scheduling area, because this was our background from that project, that LISCO's project on the supply chain, where we work especially on the job scheduling, especially in the paint industries where we work. So what we did was, after we finished that project, we create our own product with all these rules and constraints from the reality, and try to sell that product to the companies similar to that we use. And what was really encouraged was that most of them was saying, this is not what we want, you cannot do anything, we have more difficult, more constraints, more problems, and so on. So every time that we go to one customer, they always said something like this. Even if we try to say, no, but look, we can try to make a demo and put all your data here and you could see the results. It was really, really hard. And when we come to the end where they could say, okay, I want to buy or not, most of the companies would say to us, and we hear that more than once, was, oh, for that money, I prefer to buy a car to my wife. And that was like, oh God, it was really hard to hear that more than once. And at that time, we say, okay, let's stop here, because we are going to work in 3-4 years on the product, and no one's going to buy it, because especially in Portugal, most of these kind of companies are family business. So it's like the wife, the kids, the husband, the uncle, and so on. Everyone works on that. And they prefer to keep the profits to their own instead of invest on the companies. So we say, okay, no, we are going to stop this. This is not the way. Otherwise, we have to start working on a job and not on our company. And then we decided to change to the logistics area as well, but only on the route optimization problems, because we had some contacts there during the way that make us some challenge and say, oh, do you think that you can try to make some software for us, like on these kind of problems? And we start to invest on that field. And thank God we did it. Okay. So at that time, we invested on that product, of course, in the beginning, just without any kind of customer, just some ideas. And then we created routine. I'm going to show you that this is just now what we did. So in 2010, we created routine. Routine is our product on the routine optimization problems. And from there to now, we had a very big, fast growing on the company in terms of financials, in terms of recognitions from other analysts. And it was a change, it was a game change. So we saw that that was a big market where we could go. And of course that we have a lot of competition that is not related with the scheduling area, but it was an area that we could make value. So on our product and with our experience, we could put value there. And the companies and also analysts that look at these kind of solutions could start recognizing that we had value. In the beginning, just us with this empty page and no space, no office, no money, no nothing, we could start grow and get recognition for that, which for us was really good because we work a lot. As you see, we have the routine in 2010, but we started the company in 2003. So it was like 7 long years of very difficult moments, and not only financial, because we were working other stuff, other opportunities that would come, but not to be a product where we can sell and scale, just small issues that we could have the opportunity to work. But since we have this decision, it was much easier. Of course, that we have a lot of work, even though, but, and here, one thing that we did, and this was our experience from those years, early years, was, and we still do, this is our approach. We never try to sell anything to a company just to say, okay, this is the product, if you want, this is the price, and that's it. No, we always go to the company with a different approach, which is, look, give us your data, we'll put it in the system, we model every kind of constraint that you have on your business, and then you compare the results that you did, because we were going to put also in the system, and compare what we could have. And it's just a decision. If they say, okay, with these my trips, I have these kilometers or costs, and now with my solution, I have another solution, more efficiency, more cost reductions, and so on. What is this is good. And we always do this for free, so we don't charge anything. This is good because during the way, our product was like this, a tiny product with just, I don't know, 3 or 4 constraints. And now it has more than 100, because every time that we go to a customer, there is something new, okay? Oh, my customer, my business requires this kind of constraint, we don't have it, so we put it in the system, even if they don't buy it. But it will be there in the system. So next time, if you go to a customer similar, we have already the rule. Then we go to another one, and another one. And that was the ability for us to grow as a product, and a possibility to go to different markets with the same product and could sell. And it was funny because when we started, and still now, we don't do advertising. We never did. So we start growing just by spreading the words between the customers, not between us, because we never did. So we go to a customer, then the customer is happy, talk to another customer. Oh, you know that? Right now in Portugal, we have almost the big customers in these fields. Everyone knows. Okay, we started also outside, and we have a lot of resellers. I'm going to tell you a story about this one. So we have, by the way, now we are 50, not 2. So it is a big difference. And we started, we have these distributors, so they are people that on their countries, they are selling routine for us, which is very good. It's a good approach because it's hard, especially for a Portuguese company, to try to sell something outside because you are not a local on that country. But if there are people there, it's easier. So one story, funny story, was about Australia. So I was on holidays in the beach with my husband and my kids. And then the phone rings and they say, oh, sorry, I want to introduce myself. And so it was a partner from Australia that want to sell routine. So imagine our face. What? This guy is joking or something, because we never at that moment, that was our real first partner. We have no idea that outside we were named and the analysts were talking about us. So we were just looking at our world here in Portugal. And somehow they already knew us, and we start to receive, as you can see, it's a very big spread around the world from people calling us. So we never knock at any door to say, oh, do you want to sell routine in your country? I think this is, for us, is very good because it means that somehow the value that we have, it's recognized not because of us, but for what the customers has. And one of our main trigger was this reward from Gartner, which is an analyst, an independent analyst, American independent, that says that we have a very different disruptive product on this field. And I think that most of this is our engine rule that we have. That's why I was telling you the story, how we got grown on that area of the constraints. Because even when we say, okay, we didn't get this customer, we got happy because, oh, but in this field, for instance, in the alarms that we have installed in our homes, we know that they have these kind of rules. So we can go and knock to the other companies similar to this and say, look, we have this solution, even if we didn't have that customer that we tried to get it. And that allows us to grow with our engine rule to the reality, to the business world, where we have very, very hard constraints and sometimes some crazy constraints. I just like, sometimes I talk about one in particular that for me was really crazy. We were doing a project in Angola, and we had, that company has 200 trucks, and we have to check the list, all of them, trip by trip, and see, okay, this is good, this is respect everything, and so on. And one day the planner was looking and said, oh, this is not good. And we look, oh, what happened? What we are missing here? Oh, this customer here, imagine a trip is in the middle. It cannot be in the middle. And we say, why? But we are respecting the time window, so we are on time onto that. Why it's not? Oh, no, it cannot be. It has to be in the end. And they say, but if we put it in the end, we will have a lot of kilometers. That doesn't make sense. No. It has to be in the middle. Well, we have to struggle a little bit for a while to say, but why? That doesn't make any sense. And then he told us that that customer kept everything that was on the truck. So if the truck arrives with more stuff, not for them, for the other customers, he didn't care. He get everything on the warehouse. So it has to be in the middle, in the end, sorry. And we have a rule for that, to say, okay, this particular customer has to be in the end of the trip. Otherwise, look, of course, we don't say that. We just say, create a rule to say, okay, because on the system, we can create rules like in English or in our own language to say, okay, this customer with this particular identification has to be in the end of the trip. And okay, so this is just for you to understand that we try to model everything. Otherwise, they say, oh, I cannot approve these trips. I have to do manual changes and the system won't work. So the idea is to have exactly what they do, saving money, of course, with the optimization techniques that we use. But then, so this is my story. It was very hard in the beginning, but now it's reward that we have all these, in this case, 20 years of hard work. We have hard work as well now, but it's a little bit different. Now the worries are different. At that time, we were much more hard when we didn't have nothing at all. I think that if it was, if sometimes people ask us, oh, if you would do it again? Oh, I would say I would do it again. Okay. Maybe changing some things in the way that now I know that wouldn't work. But I would do it again because I think in the end it is really reward to have our own world of what we want to do and what we want to share with others, and give value to what we can do to the others and to the other companies. So I think it was a good journey so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. I knew most of that, and I found it fascinating again the second time through. So perhaps if you stop sharing your screen, and we can see if anybody who wants to show themselves, and do please show yourself. And if anybody would like to ask any questions, just stick your hand up and then we should be able to unmute you when the time comes. But in the meantime, I've got a question which I would like to ask, because I have some inside knowledge about the age of your children, because you just told me that before we started. And it looks like you had your children before you actually launched Routin or Widescope.
Yes. So my first kid was born in 2009, and we have Routin in 2010. So it was another crazy moment.
So were you confident enough at that point that you had a product that you were going to be able to earn money on? Or did you have a plan B? Or did you just think, oh, clock ticking, got to go for it?
No, I think that we decided that we had a lot of years of investing in the product. So at that time, we have like 2 or 3 customers, big customers in Portugal, that we know that would buy routine. And if we get those 2, 3 customers, the biggest ones in the market, we know that would more easy to at least to go to the other small customers. And it was a try that we had to do, but we were confident. So of course that, okay, we have, at that time we have already a house, so we were living together for a while, okay? So we have the responsibilities of having to pay a house and then a kid, and then after a year, another kid, okay? But I think that we were confident that we would have a product that would value something at that time. Okay, so, but it was hard, you know. It was, and even for a woman in the beginning, we didn't approach that. It was hard. So I know that I still have this look young. At least at that time, I was really look young. So it was hard for someone to say, "Oh, you want to sell me something? But who are you? What are you doing? You just left school, okay? So, or university." So I think that sometimes, and this is just talking about women and men, so for them it's easier, they look more, I don't know, serious, which is not correct, because we are also and have the same approach or the same responsibilities and so on. But it was hard. But I think that at that time we knew that, and we spent those years, 7 years of company, we know what we need to pay, at least, because it's funny that even in the first year we didn't sell anything, we have to pay taxes. So we have to invest our money, even if we didn't have nothing, we still have to pay. So it was hard, you know, and just a private joke. So our first profit, when we did, after paying all the taxes and so on, we had money to buy a pack of 100 stamps. This is real, because we have to make invoices or whatever that we need to do. We have to put a stamp, okay? And okay, that was like, I don't know, like 50 years or at that time, but it was our first profit. And we just say, oh God, we are going to buy a package of 100 stamps. But at that time with the kids, it was just crazy moments, because I was pregnant, then born, and then all these nights not sleeping and so on. But at that time, we have already like 2, 3 big customers that we're going to have a solid product. Otherwise, it would be crazy.
And still no questions from anybody else. Do ask questions if you would like. Was there ever? Oh, Rosemary, go on. I'll save mine up.
No, I was just going to ask Anna, like, did you sort of set out to say, well, I think there's a bit of a gap in the market, we can create this product and that will fill that and we'll be able to sell it? Or was it more like you were building that product to solve the problems you were working on, and then it kind of happened almost by accident? It's almost like, how much was that intention to create a product that was going to be so successful, or did it kind of happen a bit more organically when you were, you know, building it to solve the problems you were working on anyway?
So in the beginning, when we started the company, we had that scaling product. We still have it, but now we don't sell it anymore. But we had that product, and what we thought was we needed to have something that could scale. Otherwise, we get always stuck on the products, on each product. So at the beginning, even now, and even in the beginning, our idea is to build a product, to create a product and sell the product as managed like a factory. So I have a product and I can sell the product, because it's much faster to grow as a company. Okay, but then it didn't work because of those small family companies and so on. So when we changed to logistics and routine, we also have the same idea, have a product like in a box and try to sell it, okay? But during the way, we did a lot of work that has nothing to do with this, otherwise we couldn't survive 7 years with a house in the middle and so on. So for instance, we have one project that we did, because since we have this kind of relationship with university, a close one, as they say, oh, I have this project, do you want to help or something? And for instance, we did one for replenishing the money in the ATMs. Yeah, with one company here that asked us this our help, so we got paid for this. But okay, we solved the problem with the programming project and with some mathematical formations and so on. So we sell it, and that's it. We couldn't sell it. Okay, again, so, again, so that was the problem. Okay, I spent, I don't know, 3 months or 6 months of my time, and then, but of course that we needed to do that to survive, while in the background we were building our product. For instance, we did a lot of web pages. On that time, it was like the crazy, oh, everyone wants a web page. Now everyone has one. But at that time, most of the people didn't know how to do it. Okay. And okay, we could do it. So let's do it.
Like you're building like web internet pages for people.
Yes, internet pages. Yes, you see, okay, let's do this because they are paying. Okay. So while we do this, we were in the background working, just the two of us. Okay. That's why we didn't have holidays, weekends, and so on, because we like working multiple tasks. Because in the beginning, we didn't have, I think the first 2 years, we didn't have any payment. So no salary. Okay, it was just working. But at that time, it was easy because we were at home with our parents. We didn't have any houses to pay, or so we are at home. We have food, we have place to sleep, so everything is okay. So at that time, it was okay. It was just our time. Say, okay, I'm going to work, but it was very difficult to be at 9 to 6, wake up at 8 o'clock or 7:30 to go to a train and so on, to be at like in an office, okay, to be working at each house home, and then work on that, and then go home again and so on. But yes, what we really want is a product, because it's the best way that we could grow.
Yeah, okay.
Because we just create ones and then sell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the idea was to be, of course, in this area, because this is what we were learning and wanted to do after all these years of college.
Cool. Thank you.
So if you want to have a product, do a product. Sell it. Best way. Make money. with less work.
Thank you. Afaf.
Hello. I have a question. So apart from the operational research field, which discipline did you need for finishing one product?
Okay, that is a good question. We have at the beginning, we didn't know anything. Okay, so we have go to the bookstores and buy books for programming, because in school we only learn all these materialistics, all this, but not programming. So one thing that we did was to learn the language, how to program. And the other one, which is very important, is the looking fields. So we have to learn design and how to program in design. So to have a web page or internet page, you have to have some design. We have to learn how to create logos. Now we can go to a web page and just create some ideas, and everyone can have a logo. But at that time, we didn't have anything. It was really difficult. Now, I think it's much easier. And if someone wants to go on that journey, I think now it's much easier to go, because there are a lot of more resources that we at that time didn't have. So we have to learn how to program in design, so to create an interface, not just the background on the mathematical formations of the programs that are in the background. So we have looking fields, we have the database. This is also very important, because we need to store the data from the customers and then do some magic. While we are in the university, we have all this paper, just, I don't know, some statistics or whatever, but it stays there and output, and that's it. To be a real program has to be with a database to store all the data and so on. So we have also to learn that. For instance, when we start the company and we start to have some employees, the first thing that we need to do, especially for the ones that were coming from our university, our degree, they didn't know anything about databases. So I was training me that doesn't have any kind of training on database. I was having a program to say, okay, this is how to work on the database, because they didn't know as well, like I did in the beginning. And this is also important to have. Otherwise, I'm sorry.
Is this your partner?
Yes, because I have some buildings here on my room. I'm sorry, just give me 1 minute.
You don't get this on question time.
I'm really sorry. Okay, but just to finish, it's important. Database, looking fields, and how to program everything to have everything together in one solution.
If you need to take a moment out,
No,
Anna,
no,
just
it's okay. It's okay. No,
right.
they already live. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Frances.
Hi. I'm interested to know what you think the challenges are going forward, both for your business, but also for you personally.
Okay, that is a very interesting question. Okay, so for the business, currently we are trying to always improve the product. Okay, and right now we are investing on the electric fields for the trucks. So on the new trends on how logistics will flow. So everyone now is talking about the vehicles to be electric. And this is some kind of constraints that we don't have at the moment. Maybe in a couple of, I don't know, 1 month or two, because we already started working. So we have customers that the fleet are not with gasoline, will be electric, and we have to have those points to recharge. And that has a very complexity because of the when they can recharge, the type of charges, if the trip has highs, ups and downs. So it's a little bit complex as well. So this for the product. So we are always increasing on constraints, and in this one is a specific field, the electric field. For me, so right now my position, it's more like a project manager. So I'm the face with the customer. So it's funny that in the beginning I was not the face, I was on the background. Okay, so now I'm more on the front line, so with the customers. So I have a relationship with them. I do all the work to have the project go on. Okay, of course now I have help from the background as well, but for the connection, it's myself. But I think that right now, in a couple of years, I would like to retire, to be honest. And it's funny that as you can imagine, I have a very busy day. So I'm here talking with you, but in the morning I was with Australia in a meeting, and then I have another meeting with somewhere in the world. So I have a lot of dynamic day. And I like, and since this is a feminine meeting, in my Fridays, I have to stop, okay? And of course I do some gym, but that's anyone can do, but I like to sew. So I do some sewing projects. I don't know, some clothes, some bags, I don't know, whatever I want, but I go to a class because I need, and this is really personal what I'm saying, I need to step away from this world because it is really intense. So in the beginning it was intense because I didn't have anything. Okay, now it's intense on another approach, another problems with the project that we didn't miss, the customer didn't send that, and so on, and the responsibility of those 50 people that we need to pay every month. So it's a lot of responsibilities. But I think that, I don't know, I think at that time, now, I would like to think of well, not a retirement, but some smoother, I think, because it was very 20 years of hard work. And I really need my time out of this world. So I go on those classes pursuing. I don't know if I answer your question. I don't know if you have that on your work, because it's funny that my experience is this job that I created. So I don't know what people do every day. So, for instance, I have my experience with my friends that work on university. So I know that that kind of environment. I also had some in my last year of the degree, I also had teaching there. But so I understand. But for instance, on a normal job, we have friends there and they say, okay, at 6 o'clock, I don't care. That's it. And we can never switch off. So I don't know. I don't know if you have that moment that you say, okay, this is too much. And now I need to go outside and do other things. For instance, one story thing is, until now, my best times on holidays was when I went on a ship, on a cruise that didn't have internet. So it was 7 days. You don't imagine how that was good for me. I couldn't see anything. So it was my best 7 days of ever, because we didn't have internet. So no one could call me. And that's it. It was very expensive. The ship had it, but it was very expensive. He said, no, I don't want it. So I want to be on holiday. And that was my best holidays ever. But I like what I do, of course. But sometimes, sometimes.
You're muted,
You're
Ruth.
mute, Ruth.
Thank you. I say, I'm sure if you want to shadow anybody, see what the other jobs are like, I'm sure you get some offers from a couple of the industrial workers on this call. Rachel.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I'm absolutely blown away by what you've achieved. I just want to say that. I think it sounds phenomenal. I didn't know your story at all, and I'm just sitting here in awe of what you've achieved. I guess my question, I had questions that you've already answered, but I'm wondering, there's obviously a lot of like business acumen that you have, I'm wondering how you came by that, whether it was sort of on the job learning, or whether you sought out sort of specific support for that, and also that you grew the business, you now employ people, sort of that side of things as well. What has been your personal involvement in that, and how have you found that?
Okay, so I think that it was like a learning process. So every step was a learning process because we didn't know anything. Of course, in the beginning, we read a lot of books. So we read books, like I was saying, for databases that we didn't know, for interface, graphical interface, and so on. But we also tried to read books on how companies were managed. So what is this? Okay, let's try to see how people do. So, I have to pay salaries, I have to taxes, I have to whatever I have, and also the management, because we didn't know anything. So we didn't. If we had started already in a job, we would know, oh, people do this and that, but we didn't. So we even have an office. So those first experience, oh yeah, now we have a space. It was very reward to have small space, but it was our space, and so on. So every step we try to learn, and of course the bad experience and the no's got real knowledge for us. Okay, we failed for this. For instance, the first contacts that we did, we worked together, me and my husband. So we worked together, and okay, first meeting, first customers, and so on and so on. And then we said, oh my God, this is not working. Probably they think that we are a couple. I don't know. We didn't know that. So let's not go together. Okay, so, and we say, okay, maybe it's working better this way. And during the way, even with for instance, contacting with people, so managing the people, it's also a job. It's really a challenge. You have no idea the stories that we have on this way. We could have a book for this. Sometimes we say a story that we will write a book on this, because we learned a lot with people on the good ways and on the bad ways. I think especially on the bad way, because people are, I don't know, it's really difficult to manage. Sometimes it's even more hard to work with people in managing than just the problem itself or the customer or something. But we always have learned on self experience and passing by the bad times, I think.
That's amazing. Thank you. So maybe in your retirement, you can write that book.
Yes, I think it will be a good story.
Thank you. And Afaf.
one last question. Okay, a bit technical, but I'm curious about like whether in the beginning you thought about approximative methods of optimizing or an exact method, because actually after like finishing a product, then the client need to use it, and we already know that solvers need to be bought and stuff like that. So what did you?
We always use heuristics and meta-heuristics. So even if it was for the scaling, which we abandoned, we always have a timer to say, okay, I'm going, we use meta-heuristics, for instance, local search, tabu search, and on those we have always a timer. So we say, okay, if the customer has 1 hour to optimize, perfect. If he has 10 minutes, because it's the time that they have, okay, 10 minutes, okay. Right now we have more complex techniques. We always have the same approach, but now we have techniques that use the graphical part of the computer, and we can solve a lot of more components on the solvers much faster. And we also have clouds that we can rent or do dynamically the management of those servers. So we have a lot of machines that can run everything in parallel. So the techniques are more more efficient now, but it's always on these heuristics and meta-heuristics, because we know that we cannot do it optimal. Otherwise, the client will be there forever. And when he got old and retired, he would have a solution. So but that is a very good question, because we need to have an answer for the customer. Otherwise, he would stay and look at us and say, come on, when I have a solution, you promise a solution, right? So we need to have that in mind. So we cannot promise the perfect solution, because it doesn't exist. And we need to promise a solution that he could use in time. Okay, we have customers that has 1 hour or 2 hours. And for instance, we have a program during the night. So we can program and say, okay, I'm going to put this in the night running, and then in the morning I can look at the results. Or if it is a very fast dynamic that he has to load the trips and load the trucks, has 10 minutes, because it's like when you receive the order, it has to ship it. Okay, that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's in the software that you can program.
Okay, thank you very much. And Rosemary.
Yeah, I'm interested, Anna, of those like 50 people you've now employing, like how many of them are like technical OR people developing the product, and versus how many people you've got
on the rest
on the rest of stuff, management or marketing or that kind of thing?
I think it's like 7 or 8 on OR, and the rest.
Okay. So still there's like actually a small core of people doing the technical work on the product, and then an army on the rest of it.
When I say on the OR, it's really on OR, because all the rest of the product has an interface, has a database, has a graphical interface.
So the still technical people and working on the product, but not on the OR. Yeah. Yes,
exactly. I think that, okay, we have 2 guys on the commercial. So because, as I said, we didn't advertise or something, so it's not our approach. Everyone got from outside to us, okay. And we have I have 2 people on the commercial area, and the rest is all on the product, okay. But for the OR, it's very narrow. The rest, it's a lot of work on the other side. So just to build everything to looks good, to click on the button, have a screen, and so on. And this part that I was saying, to have multiple machines to solve the same problem in order to be faster.
Yeah.
On the real world, we have a lot of.
It's like your engineering and
Yes.
It's just interesting that you've I guess kept it true to that kind of product route, and you've not kind of ended up with a company that's inflated with your management and your HR and all these kind of other things. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I've got a question. I can see we're going to run out of time in a minute, and I've got a list of questions here from Catherine Kent, our chair, who can't be with us today, but I'm going to go with my question first, which was on your point that you, right at the start, you left it to Philippe to visit the customers after the first few, but now you're heading up that customer interface. So do you think that is because the world has changed, or because you've changed, or because the company has changed, or some other reason?
I think it's every reason that you said, but especially, well, now I don't look that young, and I have the credibility of the product of the company. And at that moment it was hard because they say, oh, this girl doesn't have nothing, just promises. Okay, of course he has the same issue, but he has a tie and a suit. It looks, even if I had a shirt like I have, it's not the same. Okay, so I think at that time, and probably even today, we have that kind of man and woman thing. Okay, and now it's different because now I have, okay, now I have a background, I have a story. Look, I have, everyone knows here in Portugal, for instance, everyone knows who we are, our company. So it's different. Of course, sometimes we go to customers outside that doesn't know us, and well, we tell our story. Not this one, of course. We tell our professional story, and okay, you have credibility. Okay, so we are very good reference on the financials. So if everyone look at our company, we would say, okay, they are very good, so they are not on bankrupt or something. Okay, so I think that the stories now is different now. So my face now is different, not because of me. I didn't change anything. Well, probably I did learn from the errors that we did, of course. But I think it's mainly because now we have a different position on the company. But of course, Philip always managed the CEO of the company. Okay, so I'm doing the interface with implementing the system. So now I have a lot of knowledge on the product, of course, and I think now it's different because people like to have a girl talking with them, and so it's. I think it's different. No.
And I'm just going to ask one last question, which is whether out of everything that you've experienced, is there any lesson that you would like to pass on to anybody who's graduating now with a master's? Anything that you would say you've learnt that you'd want to pass on? That's a really difficult question, I know, but
I think that if the person has a dream that wants to fulfill, never give up. Never, because if he really wants that, never give up, because he will have a lot of bad time, a lot of bad time. But if someone really wants that, I think it should go after, because time will pass, and if you don't try it, you will never do it again. So if you say to me now, do you want to do this now? I would say, no, of course not now, because I have already other commitments. But at that time, I was freed. So that was the moment. If I was already working in a company, I would never wanted to do this journey. But if I want to start now and I can have that opportunity, so if I don't have any responsibilities with kids, houses, and payments, go for it. Never give up, I think. But it's a hard question.
That's great, though. Thank you very much. And I have found that all fascinating, and I think there's just so many different things that we could have picked up on in your story. So I do hope that you write that book, and I do hope that you're around at other times as well, that we can our paths will cross in other events. But I would like to thank you on behalf of everybody in the audience. I'd like to thank everybody in the audience for coming, and thank you all for your comments that are appearing in the chat. Feel free to put in more. Any advice that you want to give to the organisers for future events, then please do. Any events that you want to come to in the future, they're all open and free, Anna. So if there are any of those that grabbed your fancy, I suspect you don't need impact and presence anymore, even if you needed it 25 years ago. But thank you very much indeed. I've really enjoyed that session. I hope everybody has. So now back to your massively packed schedule. Thank you so much for making the space.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.